Hey, what's up guys? It's Katrina, aka Ninny, and in today's video I do have an important message for you, but I'm a bit of a talker and I need to provide some context. So just stick with me because I promise there'll be something for you to take away from this by the end of it. So after I released last week's video, I kind of let it sit for a bit, and after a few days I rewatched it, and I've got to tell you, I am feeling some type of way after doing so. I am taking literally one of the worst experiences that someone can go through, and I'm talking about it, and I'm making videos about it, and I'm putting it out there. And the rumors topic was something that was happening externally that I couldn't control, and it really cut me to my core, and it caused some problems. And I spoke my truth about it, and I owned it, and I gotta say, I'm a spiritual, emotional badass because of it. And I ain't taking no from nobody no more. I'm crying on camera, and I'm still releasing these videos. What? I would have never have done that before, and I think I'm really starting to understand, or at least be comfortable with being vulnerable, and I think I'm understanding that there's actually some strength in that. Because I was getting messages from people, you know, saying, oh my God, you're so strong for doing this, and I was just like, this just seems natural to me, and it does seem supernatural, but I think I'm understanding that, I guess there is some strength in doing these. And if you are someone who's uncomfortable with seeing me be vulnerable, then that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. Like, what are you scared of? My tears? I don't have time for it anymore, okay? Go bring that shit somewhere else. Because now I really know, and I've kind of always understood this, but it really feels like I'm fully understanding it now, that it takes more strength to get this all out than it does to keep it stuffed in. Like, who does that really help in the long run? Me? No, not really. It's like leaving leftovers in the fridge for too long. You know, eventually you're going to have to throw it out, because if you don't, then it's going to get grosser and moldier, and it's going to start to fester and infect the things around it. And that's not good. Like, you got to clean it out. And if you haven't guessed already, you're the fridge. You got to keep your insides clean and deal with what's happening internally, or else it's going to start to creep into other areas of your life and start to ruin other areas of your life. And let's all be honest, I think we've all been through enough, and we ain't got time for that anymore. I'm not saying I followed this like perfect, neat and tidy path during my grieving process, because I learned that there is no such thing as a perfect, neat and tidy grieving process. You're everywhere, because grief just has a way of jerking you around and with your mind. And just when you think you're good, boom, another grief wave hits you, and sometimes those waves last for a day or a night or months. Even now, doing these videos 4 years later, this is still a part of me dealing with what happened and dealing with my emotions that go along with losing Mike. I'm just more of a functional human being these days than I was 4 years ago. We don't have time to keep it all bottled in all the time, because that's not going to work out in the long run. For example, to share an experience I had back in 2016, hated my life. Hated it. I was working a job that I hated, living a life that I hated, because Mike was no longer here. And I thought if I could just quit my job and start somewhere new, I would have like a clean slate, and I would feel better about that. So a job opportunity came up, I applied, I got interviewed, I got the job, so I quit my old job and started this new one, and within a couple months, I quit that job too. I had a talk with my mom one day, or rather really a meltdown with my mom one day, about just how sad I was because I was so angry all the time. I woke up angry, I went to work angry, I hated my life all over again, and I thought I was making such progress. Like, quitting that job was huge for me. That was massive, because Mike and I had a lot of great memories where I used to work, and that was a step, quitting that job. And to go to another one that I just hated, I couldn't deal with it anymore. And I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, I need a break. I don't know what's happening with me. I'm angry all the time. And she supported my decision to quit, which was amazing, because I think I just needed to hear at the time that it was okay to quit my job. And I took the next 5 months off. I started my own jewelry company, which was really cool, and I still have all my things from it and still do make jewelry from time to time. And I just took time out because, y'all, it is exhausting trying to figure out who you are again. Well, like, realistically, it's exhausting to try to figure out who you are and what direction your life should take when all the pieces are pretty much there. You're not losing the love of your life and the person that you've been building your life with. It's already tough when they're in the picture, but you lose them and you throw the grief on top of that, and it feels damn near impossible to ever get a life again. Because like I said in my first video, I didn't know who I was anymore, and I felt like I was starting from scratch. But then at the end of 2016, I was starting to feel directionless again. I didn't know what my next move was going to be. And I remember going out with a friend of mine a few days before the new year, and we were talking about it, and she helped me work through some stuff. And by the end of that hangout, I found some inspiration again, and I decided I was going to go back to school. So I went online and I researched, and I found a program that I liked, and I applied for OSAP, which in Ontario is like government funding for schooling. And in the summer of 2017, I went back to school at Conestoga College and got my postgraduate certificate in social media marketing. And I never would have done that for myself had I not taken time to pause and reflect on where I was at, had I not given into the emotions I was feeling at that time. And I think that's something that's important to do in your grieving process, is to pause and reflect on where you're at. And it really all started from a breakdown. It felt like a relapse. Like I thought I was doing good, and I thought I was moving right along, and things were starting to look up again. And nope, see ya. I hated my life. I hated where I was at. I was really coming to terms with the fact that I didn't know who I was anymore, and that I had to do that all over again and figure out who I was all over again. And it's exhausting. But it all started with a breakdown. That was me pulling that Tupperware container out of the back of my fridge and opening it up to deal with the insides. It was not fun. It was not fun. And I'm lucky to have the family that I have that supported me in that, and the friends that I have that supported me in that, because the contents of that container were starting to ruin other aspects of my life. Like I said, I was waking up angry all the time. What? How could that not affect me in other areas other than my job? It wasn't just my job I was angry at. It was my whole entire situation. I just was using my job as like that vessel to direct all my anger at. And it just got so heavy that it started to explode into everything else. And had I not had that breakdown, then I wouldn't have gone back to school, and I wouldn't have started opening up doors for myself again. And I think rewatching last week's video was another moment of pausing and reflecting, because Mike used to call me a pistol, his Italian pistol. And I think if you know me, or you just sense my personality through watching these videos, you know I'm not exactly a delicate flower. But that's one of the things he loved about me, that I was independent and I didn't take from anybody, and I would curse you out if I had to, because I'm a badass. And I think I need to start remembering that more too. If you're somebody who's out there that's dealing with the loss of your boyfriend or girlfriend, or anyone really, that might be something that you can take away from this video, that it is really important to check in with yourself and pause and reflect on where you're at in your grief, and not be afraid to open up that fridge and pull out that container that's contaminating all the rest of the contents of that fridge, of your fridge. It's a weird analogy, but I hope you understand where I'm coming at with this. And it gets a little less scary dealing with that when you realize how much of a badass you are, because you are a badass just like me. And do you want to know how I know? Because you survived one of the freaking toughest things anybody will ever have to go through, and you're still living to tell the tale. Show me a bigger badass. Go ahead, I'll wait. Maybe you don't think you've made progress. Maybe you're in the beginning and nothing's really happening for you, and that's fair. In the beginning, not much really does happen. Your shock and your denial is so huge that the weight of things don't hit you. It hits you like bit by bit. As time passes and you start dealing with things and experience things, that'll come. But even the smallest things count right now. Like maybe you showered this week. It's a badass move. Maybe you made food for yourself today because you actually felt hungry for the first time since it happened. Badass move. Okay, maybe it was butter on a piece of toast. Still a badass move. Maybe you slept without the lights on. Maybe you cracked a joke and you didn't cry because you felt guilty about it afterwards. Maybe you went an entire day without crying. Maybe, and I don't want to trigger anybody, maybe you thought about dating again. You are making progress, and that might seem scary because making progress brings up a lot of guilty feelings. I know for myself, feeling any type of joy or happiness after Michael passed felt like betrayal, and it felt like I didn't deserve to be happy again. And going through counseling, that's something I learned was actually completely normal. As awkward and icky as it feels on the inside, it's actually a super normal part of the grieving process. And one day those guilty feelings will show themselves less and less too. Does for me, it's still present. Sometimes I still feel guilty about weird things. Eventually gets a little lighter. And it's really important, I think, to look back on where you come from so you can see your growth, so you can believe that there's still a future for you, that there's still a life here for you. And when you reflect on the little steps and when you understand how far you've come, and maybe it's going to take a little longer than you thought it was going to take, it doesn't matter because you're making moves. You're badass. You're a mother badass. And that's my important message for you guys today, is that you are all badasses. And I know it doesn't feel good right now, not by any stretch, and it probably won't for a while. And sometimes you might have really horrible thoughts, and I get there because I've been there, and that'll be another video too. In the beginning, it's all bad days. It's all bad days, and then out of nowhere, after a very long time, you might have a good day pop up in there. And then once you get that first good day that pops in, it's amazing. But then you might go back to a whole bunch of bad days again before you see another good day. And then more time passes and you do more work on yourself. And then eventually the good days and the bad days equal out, and you'll probably find yourself going a little crazy during that time because your emotions are everywhere. I think that's what 2016 was for me. And after that, the bad days become less and less, and you have more good days. And then after that, it's the bad days that are sprinkled in with the good days, and they become fewer and farther between. Sometimes you might relapse and go into a whole stretch of bad days again, and that's normal. Every wave that hits you, you survive. You are still here. You're a badass. And don't let anybody tell you differently. And I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it right now and you think it's total, utter bull. But I promise you it will get better. It will. You'll never get over it. And if anybody looks at you one day and they think it's time for you to be over it and they express that, they're the idiot, okay? There's no shame being 2 months, 2 years, 5 years down the line from the worst day ever and still feeling some emotion over it. That's normal. Like, hello? You just lost somebody super important to you. You're going to be okay with that the rest of your life? Absolutely not. You get triggered. When I was writing this, it was around the time of St. Patty's Day, which was arguably Michael's favorite holiday. He did a whole bunch of things, but he was a musician, and you could find him playing at whatever pub. I don't know if I can mention names. Yeah, you can find him at pubs playing. He fucking loved it. And if I can, I'll find a link and put it in the description box below so you can check it out. So you know, I'm not lying to you when I tell you my mans could play guitar really well. But around this time of year, that just means I get triggered. And it's been a rough it's been a rough week. I just feel super drained and exhausted. That's how it manifested this time. Oh, and the pimples that are on my face, that's a real big treat. There will always be a part of you that'll never be okay with what happened. Never. You're never going to wake up one day and go, you know what? That's okay. It's all right. There's never going to be that moment for you. So if you're waiting for that, it's never really going to come. You just learn to accept it. And when you do that, you learn that you can have a life again. But like I said before, if you do nothing with the time that you have right now, nothing's going to get better. You might have been laying in bed for 4 days prior to watching this video. I don't know where you're at in your process. I'm not saying you have to rip yourself out of bed every day and move forward as fast as you can, but you do have to put in some work. Because laying in bed, believe it or not, that's part of work. It's part of the work. That's part of just chilling out, taking your own time to process and do nothing. You're depressed right now. That's what depressed people do. They don't want to go up and seize the day. It's not going to happen like that. But you do have to put in work. So when you feel up to it, you got to figure out what works for you. Are you going to meditate? Are you going to do yoga? Go for a walk. Join a gym. Go hit some. You kidding me? I told you, I got a punching bag in my parents' garage. Also, rage rooms. Have you heard about those? Those are amazing. Rage rooms, they just like allow you to go in and just hit, just break a bunch of. Oh my God, it's so liberating to hold a bat in your hand and smash to bits. It's awesome. But okay, getting ahead of myself. You just got to figure out what works for you. Maybe you like to draw. Maybe like just worry about you. What do you like to do? I remember I made a list, and if I had it with me, I'd show you. I literally made a list of things that like worked for me. So on that list was like literally watching Netflix, doing yoga. Singing was on there because I enjoy singing. I think there was like maybe 8 or 9 things on that list that I made just to go back to on the days where I felt like, kind of like what are things that I can do right now? And I would refer back to it often. Putting work into yourself honors you and it honors the person you lost too. This process is absolutely brutal. It's not a easy breezy walk through a meadow. It is a disgusting army crawl through a ditch littered with barbed wire and landmines. But you're badass. You've already been through the worst. We've already been through the worst, and that's how I know that we got it. And I still struggle to find my footing too, even 4 years out. It's always been a struggle for me, but I'm putting the work in. Because self-love and self-work, it is a freaking nagging, relentless, fulfilling, full-time job. But you gotta stick to it. You gotta stick to it. And if you are watching this and you know somebody who has lost their boyfriend or girlfriend, let them know the progress that they've made. You might have to point it out to them because they won't be able to see it right now, or they won't be able to admit it to themselves. And they might not want to hear it because, like I said, the shock and denial are real and they might feel guilty, but a little encouragement can go a long way. You're a badass. You're a badass. Okay? Okay. All right. That's it for me today. If you have stuck around to the end, thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe, turn on that notification bell as well so you get notified when I upload my videos, which I do every Wednesday, Tuesdays if I'm feeling ambitious, Thursdays if I got a little lazy, but every week there will be a video. Again, thank you for watching, and until next week, ciao guys. Do I just salute? I don't...